Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Alert Town Hall. It's been a weekly, wonderful Saturday evenings that we have been spending talking to inspiring people from who have been open books always, and whom we can learn from. And in that series, actually, today we're going to speak to somebody who is very closely connected to the tagline of the town hall itself, where life matters. Somebody who is day in and day out working towards saving lives, and he's been done that all through his life. And we know him for quite some time now. And you sometimes wonder, you might possibly see a poet in action. Sometimes you will possibly see a musician, a singer in action on stage, or a public speaker when it comes to speaking on stage. And then with magic in his hands when he gets on into a surgery room. I can go on and on, but if you want to find all of it in one person, the guest we have today is somebody like that. It's going to be a one-stop shop for a lot of things that we can learn this evening. So with that, it's my absolute pleasure to have with us today at Alert Town Hall Dr. JS Rajkumar, Chairman and Chief Surgeon, Chairman of Lima, Lifeline Institute of Minimal Access, an advisor at Alert, a co-founder of Alert. I've known him for quite a few years now, and actually, if I were to go through a very formal introduction, I might take up the next 1 hour to just talk about the accomplishments of this wonderful person. I have to definitely speak about a few. There is a people associate meaning to what prodigy means, and usually people relate that to childhood. But here is a person who has been a prodigy, I would think, all through his life. He's been a pioneer in laparoscopic surgery, and over 26,000 surgeries to his credit, and a studious and enthusiastic medical student during his days, and won consecutive gold medals throughout the academia. Dr. JSR, as he is fondly called, is a mix of leadership, created an arena that is passionate, fast-paced. You will make out when he talks now. Competitive, and above all, never a dull moment with Dr. JSR around. It's always like that. And in terms of a few other highlights of his medical career, he's delivered more than 200 plus technical lectures, conducted more than 35 surgical workshops, co-authored many books, co-authored more than 35 peer-reviewed scientific papers, conducted more than 30 free laparoscopic camps, and so on and so forth. Is also the recipient of Vaidya Ratna Award 2004 from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And many awards, as I said, all to one person, and more than anything, a wonderful, wonderful human being, a person who I would say has the head at its right place, the heart at its right place, and magic in his fingers, making a difference to so many lives. Pleasure to have you with us this evening, Dr. Raj. Welcome to Alert Town Hall.
Thank you, Raj. That was a lovely introduction. I'm really honored. I'm so nice that I almost didn't recognize myself. Very nice. And it's great to be here. Great to be here in the Town Hall. I know that Alert is such a lovely community, very positive about helping people. And I know that anything to do with Alert, Town Hall, meeting, whatever, it's always a pleasure, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Same here, and as we have gone live on FB, I have a lot of people joining us, and we are going to be getting to them. Wishes pouring in already for you, Dr. Raj. I will sort of get to those wishes soon. One of the things, the title of this evening's session, Call of Duty, all of us viewers, friends, volunteers in case of emergency. Today, Dr. Raj actually joins us from Dubai. He's there on round the clock duty, as rightly pointed out in the title of this evening's talk, Call of Duty. He's been specially requested by the Indian High Commission there to handle on ground COVID situation, and he's one of the along with his family, with his wife, Dr. Chitrakala, they are in the front line right now, handling so many COVID patients, and also with a large team of doctors doing their bit there. We miss doctor in Chennai, but it's a larger calling and it's a larger responsibility that he is right now delivering. So, Dr. Raj, my first question is, I can see that the day probably starts very early, ends very late, and that too during this period, it's a lot of you are working under a tremendous pressure environment, a lot of expectation, and even an army person many times knows the enemy well out through and through when he is fighting. And here we are, and the best foot forward being put by doctors like you against an enemy probably who's unseen to the eye, and there's still a lot more research to be done about how this COVID is impacting people. So can you sort of run us through opening remarks of how your day spans out, and actually where this town hall is fitting into a very busy schedule, and the challenges that's you are having to face and handle on the ground, Dr. Raj?
Sure, Rajesh. Firstly, I'll say alert is so special to me since Kala and I sat together at a desk, and she's taken it. You, Rajesh, and Kala, and everybody else have all taken it to such great heights, probably much more than even I envisioned. Fantastic. And so I would find this time, Rajesh, even if I worked even longer hours. But you're right, it's a bit of a crunch. There are 2 or 3 things here. One is that with summer, the UAE becomes really warm. Really warm. Winters are wonderful, but summers are by maybe 5 degrees or 4 degrees hotter than Chennai. And in that, to wear the entire personal protective equipment and the visor and the face mask, and you're like a mummy. This, I always, for a joke, I walk around and say, aim, ho, tap, aim, ho, because you're like mummies. And you really, really pour. You can find out whether your shirt is of adhesive material or not, because the chances are it will be completely flat and plastered to your skin when you walk around. So yes, our day starts fairly early. So I leave at 6:30 or 7, and then I have about 6 hours or 7 hours where we look after these fairly sick COVID patients. My one special joy is that most of them are Indians. Of course, in the light of COVID, you become truly international. If you look at there are some nurses from Greece, from Kerala, and patients from Pakistan and Bangladesh and Morocco and Kenya. So Dubai is a melting pot, and you start looking beyond that. But in one corner of my heart, I'm happy that we are still serving Indian people. And even the Indian High Commission, the block that had 500 people, I would say 80 to 90% were Indians. It was also nice that there was Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Kenya in the Indian High Commission block. So you tend to develop a nice cosmopolitan feel. So that finishes, and then by 1:30 or 2 o'clock, that intense part is over, and then you look more human and less like an astronaut. And then you go on with your regular things, because we still have our surgeries and our consultations and various other businesses that go on. And so it is a bit of a 12 to 14 hour day. It's by itself, 12 to 14 hours in a busy doctor's life is standard. But the thing is, around you is lockdown. Now it's, of course, just being lifted. So everybody's doing like, I brush my teeth on Tuesday, you have to brush my teeth again on Friday. And so that difference is there, that everybody's on slow movement and some people are running around. But I'm saying that the UAE has taught us so many positive things. Look at alert. I've always learned from Sujit and RJ Balaji in group saying, if there are good things, let's bring it out. Look at our alert heroes functions, where we bring out the good things that people are quietly doing in small villages. Those of you in the public who don't know that, we do this once a year, awards to people who really deserve it in various categories, and you bring it out. Adumadri, here in UAE, there's a group called Kerala Muslim Cultural Club. My God, the amount that these guys have pumped in to fight Corona. People who believe that they have all made money off from the Emirates and putting it back in. So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing people throwing themselves in. I'm seeing cops going out of the way to help everybody, to help doctors. Any cop stops you, the doctor will salute and say, you're doing a great job. And every department in UAE offered something to doctors. For example, the immigration said for some of the doctors, we'll give the golden visas, which is almost unheard of in the UAE for doctors. Everybody came out. Like all the lens company guys said, doctors who wear spectacles, you can come and have free spectacles. There are many restaurants that give free food for doctors, takeaways. It's incredible the way the entire UAE, all 10 million people, are looking up towards doctors. And I know it's I'm brutally honest, and I feel very sad that even in our own country, doctors are asked not to come to their flats because other people are worried that they'll get COVID. Or doctors are attacked, healthcare workers are attacked sometimes when they go to fetch a patient saying, don't come here. I know that it only represents a small number of people, and the population being large, you will have a few outliers, negative outliers like this. So that's my life in a nutshell, cramped into 18 hours, but in a country that is very disciplined and respects human life and puts doctors on a pedestal in every sense of the word.
Absolutely. Something that you mentioned, I think we should pause here to just draw our viewers' attention to this, because very rightly said, and probably people need to hear this, because how frontline workers and doctors and the cops and all the kind of brave face that they're putting in front of, as I said, an enemy we do not know much about, right? And as you rightly pointed out, there are sporadic incidents out here in India, but certainly even those sporadic incidents should not have occurred and should not occur, because I think it's a time where we all got to come together and look at the amount of risk people are putting themselves into to save lives. And I hope your message today reaches far and wide to fraternities here as well, and common public, general public here, who take to this, that the medical fraternity is actually going all out, doing everything within their capacity to bring as much normalcy back to life. So very, very well said, Dr. Raj, and we're really hoping that they remain, any untoward incidents remain sporadic and it just comes down, so that we all graze out of the situation a lot more better. Now, yeah, you sort of did mention, Dr. Raj, about alert. I was actually thinking of bringing that slightly down the line, but since we are talking about it, I sort of think that it is probably the right time to bring up that conversation. The year was 2006, and I very clearly remember how the founder, Kala, and there was a thought about something to be done when it comes to saving lives. And to be very honest, there was a lot of discouragement in terms of why we should be even doing such things. And I think one phone call went to you. Could you sort of help? And without a second thought, you had jumped into it, given a team of 6 doctors to work along 6 months, beat up and come up with a curriculum for an Indian context, and things like that. And today, actually, what the pandemic has done is, made people aware about the lack of preparedness amongst themselves in a mass scale. So in a way, alert has become even more relevant now. So I want to sort of take you back in time in 2006 when these formative things about alert came. And I remember one sentence that you spoke during the inaugural day. You said it was October 2nd, 2006, and you said, today is October 2nd, O2, and we are infusing O2 oxygen into the society in the form of alert. So what did you see, what exactly did you see as the difference and a cause like alert can do? And honestly, I think it will be good for all our viewers or volunteers all to know what vision sort of you have for alert to be, how should it be serving the society even better?
First of all, I would say that I jumped in at that point of time because there was clearly a good idea. I just want to quote Swami Vivekananda. He said, somebody asked him, tell me how I can become great. And he said, there's a very simple formula to greatness. Choose one idea, however small. Think that idea, breathe that idea, and live that idea. Put all your energy into that idea, and soon you and that idea will be great. And actually, I saw that in action with alert. I may take a tiny bit of credit for joining in the beginning, but I saw a small group of very focused people, especially Kala Balasundram and yourself, Rajesh, and a small group around you that remained focused, thinking only of alert day in and day out. So, and that's the kind of practical application that has made alert as big as it is today. But if you ask me, have we grown as big as we want? No, because it's about saving lives. You can never save enough lives, right? Imagine that there's alert, and there's alert volunteers in every little hamlet, in every little village, in every little town, in every little city in India. And why India? Can go to Nepal, you can just keep going, except in the highly developed places. Here, for example, in the UAE, I was talking to people about alert. The system is so highly developed that even if a man is bleeding in front of you, they say, don't touch him. Because they have got, I think they have 120 seconds or something is the average time it takes in any part in the whole Emirates, which is maybe about 1/3 or 1/2 the size of Tamil Nadu, to get to a point. It's so incredibly wired. It's so incredibly wired. I've seen accidents. I've never seen the police arriving more than 60 seconds after I've seen an accident in the last 2 years. Maybe 7 or 8 accidents I've seen. Within 60 seconds, a cops are there. Mm-hmm. So really, but how many places in the world, especially in India, will reach that level of efficiency? So I think alert, our dream, our common dream, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Rajesh, is that we should be able to reach every household in every hamlet. Then, like Abdul Kalam said in Delhi, when you all met him, he said, no, let there be one trained person in every family, which I think is a simple but brilliant idea. If you ask me, when Kala said that to me, I said, well, what if that person has a heart attack? So there should be more than one trained person in every family. Or if that person breaks his leg, he's got to shout, tie it like this, put the knot like this. So I think we should have as many people as possible. And I think the time to do it is young. I think we should start catching them young. I believe we should rip into colleges, schools, the millennials. So far we're talking about millennials, people born between 85 and 96. But now in the corona age, there's going to be everybody staying at home. Huge bunch of children are going to be born. I think they'll be called coronials. So the millions, we have to train the coronials in life-saving techniques all over the world. That's what I really believe.
Okay, that's a nice term I heard today, Coronians. Maybe they're going to be living in a world of absolute new normal. Experience the world
exactly.
So differently, and probably the Coronians is what they are all going to be known as. So nice, Dr. Raj. So it was nice to sort of go back and refresh and go back to 2006 and. From there, we have a path that we have come this far. But honestly, I think, as you were rightly saying, there are some aspects that touch people at a mass scale that, like a pandemic like this, where I see people a lot more, appreciative about life itself, and how important and how dear life is. So we are actually hoping that we will be able to get to the little hamlets and every single house as we are all dreaming about. I'm going to take a pause here and very quickly we're having people joining us, wishing you, Karthik from Alert, wishing you hello, Dr. JSR, and I have Veerapan saying a hi to you. Happy to listen to you as always. Thanks to you. Mr. Ravichandran Balakrishnan sending us good evening wishes to you. So we're slowly starting to see people joining us online as well. For our own thing, Dr. Raj, it will be nice. I always was intrigued, or I was always very curious about, how is it that there is this, so much of capability within a human can be harnessed in a very holistic way. And to me, honestly, I have looked up to you as a person who has made the best use of it for the sake of others as well. Taking you back even during your younger days, Dr. Raj, people say that I am a PSBBN, and people say bright kids come from PSBB, but smarter ones always come from Don Bosco. So you started off literally as a prodigy, and I know I was just going through your profile, a state rank in SSLC, state rank in PUC, NCRT national topper in 1979. And with all that credentials, I have also heard you speak a lot about your father, who has been your hero all the time, right? And the kind of values that you are always sticking to and wanting the youngsters to follow. I see a phenomenal mix of excellence and at the same time grounded with values. And I'm very sure your childhood days had a large role to play in that. So could you sort of take us back to those
Yes.
times and, what has that made you as a person?
Very nice question, Rajesh. Every chap's hero, his first hero is his father. Then only everybody else. We were in the pre-movie, pre-television, pre-electronic days, and my father was, and still is, my first and biggest kind of force. And I saw my father being respected and loved by people from all walks of life. Wherever we went, there was always a crowd around my father, looking at him very well. And that's why there was no doubt as to what I would eventually be. I knew 100% I would be a doctor, because there's nothing else that I wanted to be. I wanted to step into his shoes. Of course, I took surgery, which is a little more different. My father was a physician. But my brother and I were, in our formative years, extremely heavily influenced by my father and the impact he had on society and the affection that society had on him. Fortunately or unfortunately, over the last 30 years or 40 years since we all entered, it's 40 years since I entered medicine, the kind of perception of a doctor from the public's point of view has undergone a lot of transformative changes, not necessarily healthy, some unhealthy, some neutral, and some healthy. So that of course is a little, so I didn't get to where my father got, although in my mind, I'm doing everything that my father did and even more. But I'm doing that to a different crowd. You know what I mean? I'm cracking children's jokes to an adult, or adult jokes to a children's crowd. It doesn't get received in the same way. But you learn and you move on with life, and there's a learning in that. And also school and college had a huge influence on me, because in our school we are able to get to talk to people, go on stage, do a lot of things that you wouldn't otherwise. If you look at even performers in our school, a few years junior to us were Arvind Swami and Vishwanathan Anand and Dayanidhi Maran and Kalanidhi Maran, Prashant. The whole a lot of actors, and Venkatesh was my classmate. The actor Venkatesh remains a very dear friend, superstar in Telugu, was my classmate. Suresh Balaji, Mohanlal's brother-in-law, he was my classmate. He produced Drishyam and a lot of other movies. So there was a nice mixed bunch of technocrats, movie people, industrialists, etc. And you're right, PSBB had the intelligent guys and the pretty girls. That's why, though I was from Don Bosco, I got married PSBB girl. So I think you're very right, Rajesh. Finally, what you want to be in life, I think whatever you say, you decide that at an early age by the kind of heroes that you have around you. When your dad is a hero and your dad is a physician doing a lot of good all the time, and people coming and looking at him, then you want to be that. And you won't believe, my brother, who's a pure technocrat, then did engineering, then he did medicine, medical engineering, biomedical, and now he's also working on high-end antibiotics to kill bugs with Bugworks. So we all finally come to where my daddy was. Everything begins and ends there finally.
Right. Yeah, that's something which I've always seen and observed, both in you and your brother. Excellence came along with no compromise value systems, which sort of reflects in you as a person, and all the other things that you have undertaken. It reflects in the culture of so many other initiatives that you have undertaken and all that, which is very important.
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in there and say it's a good point. But when you don't compromise, when you don't compromise your principles, and you're ambitious, but you're honest and you're idealistic, it's a very difficult crunch. And I want to tell the guys who are listening to me, it's a tough fight, but keep batting away. And if I look back at my life, there are one or two dips in our business because we were not willing to compromise. in the chutney kidney, maybe we would have made more money, but there is no way me or anybody around me would ever do something like that. And therefore, since we didn't compromise, the takeoff may be a little slower, but we'll get eventually. And it's more important that you get there without compromising your principles than simply the speed of getting up there.
Right. Very, 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 very well said, Dr. Raj. Dear viewers, I sort of take this opportunity to share a very small thing. I'm sure probably Raj will not even mention it. But then again, the whole idea of even saying this is the value system. Even for the current work, the duty that he's been, the responsibility that has been given on him. We were just talking before we got onto this town hall, and a gesture that speaks a lot volumes about the value system of a person. For this frontline fight that the doctors are putting up, and Dr. Raj is putting up. He's refusing the compensation that needs to go to him, and instead wants to sort of divert it for the benefit of 2-3 other very specifically identified need for that money. I think a couple of things that he has instead wanted that money to be given away to is, for the benefit of probably a COVID widow, to a COVID positive person who passed away and the family needs that money, or a war widow, our Jawans. Right now, the country is facing so much heat. As we speak, there is heat right there between the India-China border. And, so that's another identified area Dr. Raj has proposed. And, the other thing is Indians stranded without jobs and, wanting to find a way back home. So I just wanted to mention this. Maybe Dr. Raj will not really mention this part, but then the reason I bring this up is, as much as work and the contribution is important, I think when it comes along with a very strong value system, it becomes like something to epitomize and for many to learn. So Dr. Raj, as always, love the way you are as a person for this as well. I'm going to take you slightly into a different tangent here. One is the journey from rigid to Lifeline to Lima. We could sort of see that as a growth and also a kind of a transformation, both in terms of size, impact and all that. But I think even in terms of technology and, when you grow and you have been a generation of doctors, and, I'm very sure you saw your father as a hero, but at some point you'd have also seen there are certain schools of thought that are old, which probably need to be there. But some parts of it, there has to be, embracing of newness, embracing of newer things that are revolutionizing the medical fraternity. In fact, I think you were the first doctor who did a live streaming of a surgery, wearing a Google Glass for the benefit of everybody, students to benefit from, journalists to see what's going on inside a surgery room, so on and so forth. So it's a question which is meant for when generation grows over each other, right? My question to you is, what part of it we should be very careful not to break because it is old school, and what part of it we should not ever lose sight of and keep embracing the new that is coming, in your own, in the context of the medical world that you it's your profession.
It's a very nice question, and I'm going to answer it in a way that every single person who's listening will benefit. Mm-hmm. Because the best thing for you to do is to learn from the pain and from the growing curve of another person, and you can apply it to your own industry. So beautiful question, actually, Rajesh. And I think I'm going to start with the answer and work myself backwards. My answer to you would be, to all of you would be, as you grow, you combine two things. On the one side, you do what's called adaptation. And on the other side, you do non-compromise of value systems. So now these two will sometimes be against each other. First of all, I'll talk about adaptation. If you don't adapt and change, I mean, if you look at Charles Darwin, Darwin said it is not the largest, strongest creature, like the T-Rex that survived. It was never the fastest, like the cheetah was so fast, it's nearly extinct. But it was the one that adapted to the situation. That is man. That is, we are neither strong like the dinosaurs, we are neither fast like the cheetah. So in order to survive, a species has to necessarily adapt. That's one of the linchpins of the strategy of Darwin's evolution. Now, if times are changing, say for example, my father or his generation would have preferred, or my grandfather, for example, was a doctor too, was a great man, often became a doctor, was a really great man, but he died young. So I actually called it Rajaratnam Institute of Gastrointestinal Diseases. We were confined to gastrointestinal work, and we called it. As people became more and more aware of what we call a 360 degree, they started asking, yes, I know less expensive at a nice small hospital, but what happens if my father gets a heart attack when he's there? You need to have backup support. You need to have an ICU. So you put an ICU. What happens if you need a cardiologist? You get a cardiologist. And that's how this multi-speciality concept was born. And as you rightly said, we adapted to people's thinking and to the need of medical growth, and we made it multi-speciality. And since we were looking at a good tag name, the Lifeline tag name fitted, and indeed in our centers in, say, Bahrain or Ghana and in other African places that we're looking at, further expansion in the Emirates, we are holding on to the Lifeline, not rigid, but the company will be rigid. So I'm telling people, adapt. At the same time, now come to the second part, don't compromise. It's very easy to knock off some poor guys. I'm not saying people are doing it, but there is there's a temptation, it's a low-hanging fruit. Let's go there quickly so that we can grow up as a corporate structure. I tell you, there's one of our flagship hospitals is now being managed by another group, which we rented out. We would not have done that if we had been willing to compromise. I repeat, we would have had an unfettered growth if we had chosen to compromise. But we didn't. So, maybe we lost a little bit. We dips, though we are back on now and back on track. We had tough times, but we know that, these hands that you see are, we feel they're clean. We didn't compromise and we didn't go down that wrong route. So it's a difficult, again, I'm telling everybody who's listening, it is a difficult, especially in the medical line, when everybody's looking at you and saying, like Chetan Bhagat wrote, people don't mind, they won't attack, they won't even mob attack a rapist, they won't mob attack a politician, they won't mob attack anybody. The only people mob attack is the people who are trying to save them. It's very funny. So I hope that doesn't extend to our poor alert volunteers. So we must make sure that people's mindset changes. I'll conclude again by saying, adapt and change and add on and grow. But at the same time, compared to other businesses like a restaurant or a beauty parlor or a trading business where anything goes, here you have to be very careful. You can't say I'm trading in everything. Let me start trading in livers and kidneys. You can't do that. You have to stay on to ethics, and it's a very demanding profession mentally and for the heart as well.
Nice, very nice, very, very, very wonderful thoughts, Dr. Raj. I'm looking up at people who have joined us online. Wishes. Hello, Dr. Raj from Oscar Ponni. And we have Anand Kumar, your brother, dear brother Raj. You continue to amaze me every time I hear you. So he is watching us. Thank you, Anand. Good evening, doctor from Kumar. I have also, again, Veerappan, Raj and Anand, proud sons of Dr. JRS. Kala Balasundaram, hello from Balu and me, Raj. So good to see you. And I have a question from Mr. Mike Muralidharan, the chairman here at Alert. What is your suggestion for Alert to stay very useful to society in these COVID days?
Fantastic. First of all, I feel awkward to be anywhere near a mic in the presence of Mike Muralidharan, because he's got the patent for most mics. Hi, Mike. So it's a very, very relevant question, Mike. Now, to the volunteers, to all of us, how can we impact the society now? There is a good way that I'm thinking of for Alert. Coming up with a small white paper, I'll pass it on to you, Rajesh and Kala. Essentially, we know that the very, very sick patients with COVID are going to increase in India. So all of you hold on to that. This thing about saying, we hit pots and pans and the corona ran away, it's too hot, corona won't come. It's all it's BS because corona is increasing at an exponential rate. We all know as doctors, and all of you know, that the 8,800 or close to 10,000 is not the real death rate. It is possibly double, triple that. So we have to accept that maybe 20,000 or 30,000 Indian lives have been lost already by the onslaught of this virus. Unfortunately, our curve is on the upslope, which means that over the next month or two, we have to be ready and prepared. As you said, state of preparedness, more are going to die. Now come to this. Who will die of corona? Not the average guy who just gets a cold and cough. The guy who gets very severe lung infection. The guy who's in the ICU, who's a diabetic, he is going to die. What can Alert do for these guys? What I would like, Alert has already got a fantastic app. There are going to be thousands and thousands of people with mild disease, corona, which just comes and goes. If we can track these people, and if 14 days have gone after they have recovered, we can bring these people in to donate their plasma. And their plasma will contain antibodies that will kill the virus. And by doing that, we can actually save a life. We can save 2 lives with one patient, with one donor, exactly almost as if somebody is hit by a bus and they're bleeding from the thigh and you're putting a tourniquet. That impact on life and death we can have. And I think the time has come for us to jump into it. Please Google something called Microbot, or Plasma Bot. Microsoft has come up with an app called Plasma Bot or Microbot, so that all over America, people who have recovered are offering them their own plasma to save critically ill people. We as Alert could then be a bridge between people who have recovered and people who are sick in the ICU. Only a big step like this, every day, we can actually be numbering the lives that we are saving. And that would be, Mike, what I think we should jump into.
Nice, very, very nice, Doctor. I think we'll probably certainly would love to connect a little more on that to understand specifics of where we can make a difference. However large or small, I think what you said has a potential of high impact. So we will pursue that thought with you. Thank you, Mike, for bringing that question, and it's a beautiful answer. I'm going to sort of again take a diversion here. We've spoken about COVID. We have spoken about your younger days and stuff like that. One thing that has always kept kindling my curiosity is the amount of time you actually spend in literature, specifically Sangam Tamil and stuff like that. You have been very vocal about your admiration to Thiruvalluvar and Avvayar and all these people, and the kind of gems that you bring about and interpret and speak about it. My question is very specific. What's the reason for your deep dive or deep rootedness in Sangam Tamil? Is it more for the love of the language, or is it the science behind? Which is more?
Probably the most relevant. You asked so many important questions, but this is an amazingly relevant question. And I'll tell you why. I would like every person who's listening to this and who sees it later to Google something called Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. There is a hypothesis called Sapir-Whorf hypothesis that says that the way you look at the world depends upon the language you speak. Can you imagine? You become a good guy or a bad guy or a selfish guy or a selfless guy depending upon the language you speak. If you look at, say, Tamil, the more and more I started discovering Tamil, Rajesh, I realized that it's a treasure trove and we've lost it out. The English start by saying is apple, even ball. And here we will start by saying, aram seiye virumbu. If aware had been now she would have said alert seiye virumbu, but half alert sorry. But start by saying, you start by doing charity. No, don't get too upset. The entire language has its own, it's got what is known as linguistic determinism of character. Your character, that you're noble, that you're bold, that you would say the right thing, that it's okay if you get hammered. You will fight for women's rights. You will fight for equality. All that is typical of Tamil. So I realized that more than my learning Tamil is changing me. And I understand now why so many Tamil teachers, poor people, used to come in cycles, go back and be happy. You ask them, they'll say, the Tamil padichu na sandoshama irukeenga. Tamil actually works on your brain and your heart. and opens out new worlds to you. Actually, your personality will come out if you master your own. Sapir Shop say, go into your mother tongue and your true personality will come out. Of course, it's been hotly contested, this theory, but certainly for Tamil, 100% it's true. You just take any piece. Like recently, I was reading this Kundalakesi. Kundalakesi is one of the Aimperum Kapiyangal. Sivapadikaram, Malayapati, Manimeg, Buddhist story. And it's so secular. It's so secular, Tamil. There's Jain, there's Buddhist, there's Hindu, there's everything in it. There's a Veerama Munivar came and wrote one full set on Christian Tamil poetry. So they never differentiated based on religion. So this Kundalakesi, it says, I hope that readers don't get put off by Tamil, but please focus on this. It says, Mariba Marium. That means a flower that has got to wilt will wilt. Malira Malirum. What is supposed to bloom will bloom. It talks about the fatality of life, the fatalism in life, Then it says, Peruba Perum. What you should get will come into your pocket. Maybe corona, maybe money. Petru Irappa Irakum. What is supposed to go out will go out. It's like the Bhagavad Gita. Some people have this version of Bhagavad Gita. They say, though that stanza doesn't appear in the Bhagavad Gita, that's the essence. Then it says, Ariyada Ariyar, those who really understand this truth, Uravar Arungar, won't jump too much, Vavar, won't be upset also too much, Arungar. Uruvadu Urum, what is to be happen will happen. Endru Uraipadu Nandru. For your mental satisfaction and health, to understand that what is to happen will happen is best for you. Can you imagine written centuries and 1,500 years ago, a few lines that can completely change your day. And I think that is the beauty of Sangha Tamil. And it's also just 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, but saying so much. I can tell you that it's a love affair which will never end as far as I'm concerned. And I believe there's no end to man becoming noble. The language, I'm convinced the language makes you noble. I know that a few people have used the language and made lots of money. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. But it doesn't mean that the language is bad.
Nice, very nice. Always.
Long answer to a short question. Sorry, Rajesh, long answer to a short.
No, but we really don't get an opportunity to somebody to explain some of these things. One of the things that I always miss is, I might not have all the know-how or the complete ability to read commentaries and understand. When somebody sort of gives you the essence, at least you can get to it and you can understand parts of it, if not everything. So I also know, Raj, your flair for writing and poetry, which is it's a very rare thing. I mean, somebody who is so scientific in his head, but at the same time creative when it comes to expression. So a very basic question. If you were to give a little more time to do what you want to do or what you enjoy doing the most, would that be more time at the table, or would that be a little more time on expressing thoughts through the words, through language and stuff like that? Which part of it is Dr. Raj more now?
Very difficult question to answer, Rajesh. Right now, one of Bharadiyar's Padalagal Solvar is a man who was starving. Bharadiyar was starving, no food also. He's eating once a day, small amount. Debt everywhere. And the poem he wrote, somebody asked him to write the poem he wrote. Yettanai kodi imbam kodutha iraiva, iraiva, iraiva. The first thing he writes. So, I mean, there are so many things around. So, you look at poetry, you enjoy. Look at prose, you enjoy. You look at Tamil, you enjoy. And I believe that ideally, till the last year of my life, I would like to enjoy all these. But I'm getting a little bit more serious about passing this on to other people. Why can't we enthuse youngsters and do more good things? Why can't we get involved more in public service? So I believe, Rajesh, that possibly the last 15 or 20 years of my life, I would like to spend a little bit more time in public life, jumping in and helping people, making a difference. If you or I want to help somebody, you have to go to the health secretary or the health minister. To thousands of people like us will be going to them. But somebody in our group, if we are sitting there, we can make a huge difference to millions and millions of people. So I believe that eventually, I may lose, I may get hammered, but I will find my way to public life and stand there and contest and see if we can make a difference. Nallavangala poite, ayyo sakada, don't go there. Ayyo sakada, don't go there. Stay at home. But every day, from when we wake up to when we sleep, every move that we make is governed by what some politician up there is deciding. So why can't we push and try to become those guys there? Basically, I really believe, like Marcus Aurelius said, don't waste time going on thinking what a good man should be. Full stop. Be one, he said. Be a good man. So why should we go on? Politician, you should do this, you should do that. What he's saying, so I believe that the answer to your question is before long, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You will see me at the Karaveti.
Okay.
I'll be a decent guy then also.
It'll be good to see you in that avatar as well, Raj. And I firmly believe that a lot of woes of the society is more because of the silence of good people rather than the noise of bad people. So it is more important that people who have their heart in their place and also have the efficiency to get on to the public life and make a difference. And 200% I can tell you that you have one person sitting in front of you who will raise the flag with you. எந்த கரவெட்டி நீங்க போட்டாலும்.
நான் இந்த பிரியாணி காசுலாம் கொடுக்க மாட்டேன். எலெக்ஷன் முன்னால பிரியாணி காசுலாம் கொடுக்க மாட்டேன்.
Raj, one question from Veerapan. I think he is asking on behalf of all of us, and people are, even as they see the screen, they can see the amount of energy hitting them when you talk. The question is, please let us know how you keep up your spirit always so high.
So, Veerapan himself is like that. அவர் கேக்குறது வீரப்பன் கிட்ட இப்படி சொல்றது வந்து திருநெல்வேலி கிட்ட அல்வா கொடுக்குற மாதிரி இருக்கு எனக்கு. But anyway, I think the answer is to be found in a short story by Anton Chekhov. And I would like those who are watching this and listening to go and read that little short story in which a guy, he says he takes a bet for millions of rubles, it's a Russian, to stay inside the outhouse of a rich man for 7 years. Can you be alone? He says, yeah, I'll be alone. And he asks only one thing. He asks for books. And at the end of 7 years, the rich man has become poor. He's going with a knife to kill him because he can't pay him that 1 million rubles. And this young fellow comes out and says, sir, I don't want any money from you because in the last 7 years, I've had Socrates sitting next to me. I've had Plato sitting next to me. I've had everybody next to me. And my life has completely changed. I know what I want to do. So, and Chekhov ends by saying, the only way we can get the thoughts of these great people next to us is to read their books. So whenever I can, I'm reading something decent and I try to learn from all these people, all these great people of Bharatiyar or Vivekananda or, art, Sangam literature. We are learned what they, if we just read, if we are not full of energy, then we are fools. And if somebody asks me the best book to read, smallest book, 180 pages, everybody go and buy it. It's called Meditations. It's by Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor. If you read that, you will go about your work and say, whatever happens, let it happen. I'll do my thing. So I think the answer, I know Veerapan also doesn't really require the answer because he's a great guy, he also reads, is to constantly be fortified by the thoughts of great people. And I think that's the only way to surround yourself by the voices of the great people across eternity. Then that will work into you. It has to work into you. John Kennedy said that. Anton Chekhov said that. Socrates said that. Everybody said that.
Wonderful. That's beautiful, Raj. And Mike has responded saying thank you. Look forward for the white paper. So I think that suggestion was beautiful, and we're really looking forward to see if we can take some part of it and do something about it. I have a request from Mr. Ravichandran Balakrishnan. Doctor, you're really cool and very interesting. Can you give one Tamil poetry on the current pandemic, Corona? It's probably something like an extempore stuff. I leave it to you, Raj, if you
Yeah.
want to take that, or you could always come back. It is in the comment section in the alert page.
Okay, right.
You would
I'll
want
tell
to.
you. Yeah, why not? No, you know me, I'm always up for a challenge.
Yeah.
Let me think. Okay, there's one very nice Sangha piece of poetry that says, again, it's again like this other one that I said. The continuing evolution of life. He starts by saying, "Palayam tanmai settum." It's all three words. அப்படிதான் அழகா இருக்கும். Palaya means the fetus, embryo. Palayam tanmai, you develop, they become fetuses. Settum. Then that dies. The fetus dies and you become a little boy. Then it becomes Palanai Tan Settum. That also dies. Kalayam Ilamai Settum. Kamamuru Inimai Settum. Kala is a middle-aged guy, is a young guy, and then the guy who enjoys the sexual pleasures. He says Kamamam Ilamai Inimai Settum. Meedum Ivialbu Ulagil. That means this is a recurrent cycle going round and round. Whether it's corona or non-corona. Meedum, that is Meedum if Ulagin Yelbu, or recurrent cycle. In this, the last two lines are the most important. He's saying, Tinamum Nam Sagendromal. We are all dying every day. Namakku Name Adadadu Enna. So, in other words, even if somebody is dying of corona, he says, Array, you're also dying every day. It's a recurrent. Just as a fetus died, you became a little baby became an adult became a middle-aged man, and this is a recurrent thing. And you're dying every day. So first you grieve for yourself before you grieve for anybody. And I think this is a very, very important thing to think about at the time of that we are actually dying every day. And Marcus Aurelius also said, and corona is just opening out that truth to the whole world. Marcus Aurelius said two words. He said every Roman should have these two words in his head. Memento mori. Memento means remember. Mori means you're mortal, you're going to die. I think coronavirus is just Marcus Aurelius telling all of us, memento mori. You can die at any point of time. Be aware of death. And in that, towards that end, do whatever you can well today. And be happy when you wake up. I don't have corona, I'm all right so far. Well, anyway, I think I don't have corona, I'm all right so far. At least, in the last couple of months, twice we've done these tests and we keep on checking. The last checkup came only 2 days ago. And, you keep thinking till the day it comes. Okay, if it's positive, what do I do? It's do I lock myself in? We have to be away from everybody. We'll try to manage everything online. And we have to keep checking this. And then you plan everything. It comes back as negative. And you keep going. So, Dinamum Sagin Romamal. Same thing. Back to Lakim. I'm sorry if it's a little dark, but the times are dark. This is not the time to sing Rabba Barin. It's a time where we kind of think about truths of life.
Right. In fact, I think there's a question from Anand specifically on this, and I think probably you partially answered this. But let me still read the question. It's a question from Anand Kumar. What is your biggest learning or introspection from COVID-19 pandemic?
Nothing lasts forever.
Wow.
That's all. That's my. If his life is not going to last forever, if it's wealth, it's not going to last forever. We saw how all the indices came crashing down the stocks, and hopefully you have to then apply it positively. Even if it's corona, it's not going to last forever. And this too shall pass. It's also incidentally one of Anand, who's very, very much of a philosopher. One of his favorite sayings is, "This too shall pass." And we just have to. Life has a way of moving on, and it's the beauty of life, isn't it? And you understand when you have such a how short life can be. People whom I know, doctors whom are dying. We think, oh my gosh. So we have a responsibility as humans to enjoy that life properly, and a responsibility to look after others as well in the process. And in this process, I cannot understand why in India, lot of people, especially press, are busy blaming each other and using this, he did this, he didn't do this. I think I'm requesting all of us, we must get out of this blame game. This blame game, one party, Congress is blaming BJP, BJP blaming Congress. I don't even wonder whether the Congress is really worrying about the migrants or not. They're worried more that the government has made a mistake. Or DMK saying about ADMK. Why? That's all. Let's get together and be as bloody human beings. I think we should be humans. Somebody must tell the politicians this.
So true and so rightly said. And I think the vehemence with which you're saying also speaks about the Adangamnu solvanga illaya. So it is written all over. We really hope that we might move on into a world which is a lot more embracing of these differences and stop blaming each other for what's going on. Rather get together and do something about it. Any other notes from you? Any words to our volunteers, specifically Dr. Raj, who they are all signed up to be responders, lifesavers? Any word to them, Dr. Raj?
I have two specific questions for our volunteers. One, have we provided them with the PPEs to cover them, etc., when they're going to meet? They go to meet the potential patients. One. And two, will they be willing to sign up? I believe all the volunteers can, staying at home, can pass on, if we get this app with plasma, we can coordinate logistics and get people to donate plasma. Be fantastic. Because the beauty is, you can't get COVID from these guys, because these guys are negative. You don't even have to wear a visor.
Right.
So I think we can jump in and start this. Maybe after this also we can come online separately and we can plan a very, very simple basic thing. Do some good, and I think alert everybody in alert. I don't think I would tell alert. I come to alert not to teach. Always I come and grab the positivity and go back. From every one of us, I know people like Karthik are doing such a wonderful job, and I say Karthik because his name springs to mind. But there are so many more volunteers doing a fantastic job. I want to tell every one of them, nobody can take away the good that y'all are doing. That is yours alone. And we should all try to come together to amplify that a little more. So keep rocking. What you guys are doing is really good. Keep it up. We should all be more positive this way and corona negative. Human positive and corona negative.
Beautiful. Human positive and corona negative. And that's the real message to be taken to bed today. Raj, no interaction with you is ever complete without listening to you sing. A small gig from you for even for a minute, that would be great. Anything of your choice.
Okay, I'll do that. But I must say, singing in front of somebody like my brother Anand Kumar is like batting in front of Sachin Tendulkar. But okay, I'll do this. Don't have the guitar today, so I'll do non-guitar. Kannana kanne, kannana kanne, en meedu saayava. Unnana nenjai ponnana kaiya, upola neevava. நான் பார்த்து நின்றேன் காலங்கள் தோறும் என் எண்ணம் தீருமா. நான் பார்த்து நின்றேன் பொன்வானம் எங்கும் என் மின்னல் தோன்றுமா. தண்ணீராய் மேகம் கூறும் கண்ணீர் சேரும் கற்கண்டாய் மாறுமா. ஆராரிராரோ ராரோ ராரோ ஆராரிராரோ ஆராரிராரோ ராரோ ராரோ ஆராரிராரோ. கண்ணான கண்ணே கண்ணான கண்ணே. A little bit that I could put up together.
so beautiful, Raj, and it's a phenomenally wonderful evening, and I think we couldn't have signed off on a much better note than this beautiful song as we close in on the day here in India. To sort of go to bed with this beautiful rendition from you, and one very simple message: human positive, corona negative. Something to all of us to think about and go to bed with. So thank you so very much, for taking time out, joining all the way from Dubai. Pleasure as always to have you with us, Dr. Raj. We look forward to seeing you soon in Chennai. Chennai definitely misses you. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Lovely interview. And to all the alert people, love you guys.
Thank you, viewers, friends, volunteers, voices. Until next time we meet at Alert Town Hall with another inspiration to take from. Stay safe, stay home, and stay positive. And remember, human positive, corona negative. That's the message for the day. Thank you all.
Thank you.